Van harte welkom bij de Aficionado Archipel. Vandaag zit ik hier niet met Bart Brands, maar ik heb een andere gast. En ja, dat is ook heel gezellig. Bart komt de volgende keer alweer terug. Maar vandaag zit ik hier met een hele grote, belangrijke gast. Toch een soort spin in het web van de sigarenwereld, de cigar worlds, worldwide. Een kenner van sigaren niet alleen, maar vooral producent van sigarenaccessoires. Hij werkt met houtproducten, leerproducten. Is een hele grote producent na bijvoorbeeld Dupont, Elie Bleu en noem de grote namen maar op. Hij is groot geworden in Amerika, maar hij komt uit Frankrijk. Hij komt ook nu even uit Parijs, zomaar aanwaaien. Maar ja, goed, zijn bedrijf zit in Amerika en misschien weet u dan al over wie ik het al heb. Namelijk Cyril Brizard van Cyril Brizard Co. Cyril, van harte welkom. I will continue in English within a moment, so please have that moment. En ik wil u natuurlijk eerst ook van harte welkom heten bij de Aficionado Archipel. En dit is natuurlijk een prachtig gesprek met Cyril over het wel en wee van sigaren, van sigarenaccessoires, maar vooral over het leven in Amerika onder het nieuwe presidentschap van Trump. Het economisch klimaat wat daar heerst. Ik ben heel benieuwd hoe het daar gaat. Cyril weet er alles van en zijn nog al een paar verrassende dingen zitten daarin. Hij heeft namelijk aan de wieg gestaan van de lancering van Trump heel lang geleden als publiek bekend persoon. Nou, dat is een van de vele leuke anekdotes die we vandaag met Cyril bij langs gaan in de Aficionado Archipel. Dus blijf vooral kijken en genieten van een heerlijk gesprek met sigaar, met een drank. Steekt u zelf ook eentje aan in het Engels. We nemen afscheid van het Nederlands, we gaan verder in het Engels.
Tom, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm honored that you're here and that you made it to here.
I made this spontaneous decision to come see you. I was in France spending New Year's Eve with my family.
Nice.
I just flew back from Los Angeles for the holidays, basically. And this improvisation, this impromptu opportunity to come here and meet you and be part of your podcast is well appreciated.
I'm so happy you're here, and it's very special. Maybe the people know you from our fair, the Cigar World Fair in Dortmund. You were also there. You were interviewed about a couple of things people can see also again here on the table.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. The things you make are so marvelous. It's so beautiful, well
and you can
crafted.
tell without even getting into the details, they're made from the heart.
Okay.
I have a lot of passion for what I do, and there is a story behind every product, and they are definitely something I enjoy making, and we're very proud of every piece that comes from our factory.
Yeah, nice, so nice. Thank you. Right now we have something special. We have a one-off product you made especially for us. You just told me that you never made.
Oh, you're
something
referring
like
to
this.
the
humidor.
to the olive wood humidor,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, we made that piece. We usually, olive wood. When you look at a large cut of olive wood,
Veneer.
Olive wood veneer, which is actually real wood. It's just a very thin.
Yes.
You have a laminate veneer, which is actually fake, but we only use real wood. There is a lot of variations in the grain of the olive wood because. As opposed to some woods like ebony or rosewood or zebra wood, which have a continuous grain and you can get the full usage of the whole piece. When it comes to olive wood, you will have a lot of varieties of patterns and figures, and so
it's not easy to find.
No, so
patterns.
to make a big piece where the whole piece looks interesting to the eye is not something we do commonly, but of course we are all about making custom products. We're all about making things for special requests. And when you asked me to make you, you've actually asked me to make you my largest humidor, the one that is extra wide, 26 inches wide, in olive wood. I appreciate you took the compromise of taking the 60 to 80 count.
Half of the size of the biggest one.
Yes, that's correct. The other one is twice as the size. But nothing is impossible. We can always make one if you want in the future.
It's for the list, I would say.
Yeah.
We put it on the list.
Put it on the list, yes.
But there are many things I want to have from your collections in my showroom, in my web shop. Also, the cigar shops in the neighborhood in this country are appreciating your products more and more. We see your collections, we sell your collections to more and more shops. they're waiting right now. So we are happy the shipment arrived today, and you are here, and especially because you spent a couple of weeks in Europe, and you're returning to the US next couple of days.
I am flying back to Los Angeles in about 3 days.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, in 2 days. You know,
Okay.
Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, and you're a busy man. I know about it because we call each other on the most impossible time schedules, because you are driving to Mexico and to your workshop there, and your workshop in California. You have multiple places you produce your.
But I am always hands-on on my manufacturing.
Yes. Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in not only in the workshops, but when you work with natural components like leather and wood, particularly. We work with metal. It's just a little bit of a different thing. But you work with leather and wood. I often compare in a lot of occasions, the making of what we do, like at winemaking, You have to select your raw ingredients. That's a very important thing. You can't call your leather supplier and say, ship me 3 hides of leather, or your wood supplier. You have to go and select it. So quality starts...
You do that all the time. You go.
Quality starts with the selection of the ingredients. It's like another passion of mine, which I mentioned to you, is cooking.
Yeah.
I've cooked all my life, and just like a chef is the most important part of a chef is at 5 o'clock in the morning to pick the fish, the vegetable that he is going to use, because if you have a great ingredient, the rest of the process will come naturally. When you are a winemaker, if you don't have the passion to go see your grape grow like your baby and see how healthy the grapes are in the soil, it will not be the same thing at the end result. So for me, it really starts with the selection of the ingredients. These are my ingredients. And you will see me in a t-shirt and shorts in the wood mill, the veneer manufacturing place. And sometimes I will go through, tens of sheets of Spanish cedar or olive wood or other rare woods, and I will go through them and reject them one after the other until I find this piece that is exceptional that I want to use. And the same thing goes to the leather. The leather is a natural and phenomenal. You can have natural defects. And it also depends of the application, if you're going to use it for small objects, for shoes, for furniture. But for me, the feel and the touch and the look of the initial ingredient is the essence of our product. Then goes all the technical aspect of it and the quality of it that is the next element. But yes, I spend a lot of time looking for my ingredients.
Yeah, nice. So nice to hear. The level of attention you spend on the raw materials, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a workshop for the wood stuff, and then you have a workshop for the leather, and then another workshop for the packaging of all the products.
So I have my main workshop, my largest factory, which is in north part of Los Angeles. It's called Canoga Park. It's an industrial area, and this is where all the leather work, most of the leather work is done. This is where all the assembling is done, the finishing, the assembling of the humidors, and where all the products get packaged and shipped to our customers. I also have a very unique structure. I have a wood factory in Mexico that is run by women only.
Yeah.
Women put a lot more attention to details.
Really?
Yes, they do, than men. And
They
I started...
construct all the wooden boxes? They made it?
All the construction of our humidors is made about an hour south of the border. And I am personally there every single week to... bring them my support and my advice, and collaborate where we try to constantly improve all the aspects of what we do. And I started with a wonderful lady who's a woman who was just a great person with a lot of a great heart, and who is always doing a lot to help the community. And this woman, as a matter of fact, as we grew, she started with her son, in fact. And we tried hiring some carpenters. In Mexico, the vast majority of the carpenters are, pretty much all the carpenters that you will hire are men. And every time we have tried to hire a new carpenter, they had a very hard time having a woman telling them what to do. That's part of the very ancestral, macho mentality of Latino America, one of the aspects of Latino America.
Okay.
So, and the other aspect is when, we do something very specific. This is not just general carpentry. It's not like making a chair or making a piece of furniture that people have made for. Making a humidor, a cigar box, requires a lot of precision because ultimately, besides the look, it has a function, and the functionality is to seal the humidity for the cigars. So you can make a beautiful humidor, but if you don't have the strictest discipline in terms of the element that is the functional element, then it doesn't work. So we found out that when we had male employees, they would come up with their bad habits. So Enriqueta, my chief carpenter woman, who has a heart of gold, has actually decided to take people with no experience from the beginning. And a lot of these are women migrants that came from Central America with their babies and who basically lost and had nothing. Nothing. They left everything because their countries was either at war or in large insecurity because of the cartels and all the mafias and the gangs in Central America.
Those countries are like Honduras, Panama,
Honduras, yes, a lot of them in Honduras, Salvador, a lot of them from Salvador, Guatemala. So all these migrants that moved towards the U.S. border with a dream of coming to the U.S. that got rejected and could not come into the U.S.
They got stuck.
Are stuck sometimes with very, very young children and babies. And Enriqueta has decided to give a chance to several of them. And based on their desire of working and putting attention, we trained them from the very beginning to woodworking. And so it really started with very simple steps. And as they are willing to learn more, and most of the time, believe me, when you lose everything and you want to feed your baby and get a better future, you're willing to learn. And you don't come with bad habits. You are just coming in with all the open-minded, and desire of working. So they are wonderful, wonderful people and women who work in our factory who basically left everything. They left their families. They left, their neighborhoods for a better future. So we have encountered several of them and brought them into our factory, and we've actually built on the property some homes for them to be able to live with their babies, and we provide security for their babies, and at the same time they are all contributing into the manufacturing of our humidors. So all the woodwork, our humidors, our dividers are made in Mexico, and then they're brought to the United States. And this is where all the finishing takes place, all the leather wrapping and covering and fancy woods that we place on top. So that all gets done in our factory. This is the chain of how we are making our humidors, yes.
So your factory or your brand actually is almost 30 years old, about 28 this year, I think.
Yes. So, do you want to know how it's?
Please give us a quick overview of that.
Yeah. Well, in the 90s in the United States, there was something called the cigar boom. Okay. The cigar boom was a period where cigar smoking became a huge society trend, and the consumption of cigar exploded. It started in 1992, 93, 92. And for about 5 years, the industry kept growing and growing and growing and growing all the way up to 1998. And at the end of 97, 98, when the cigar boom was at its apogee, but really starting to decline, this is when I decided to start, which means at the worst time. Because I didn't benefit from all the growth. I arrived at the end.
You were already an aficionado? You did some smoking or?
Yes. I started smoking one of a very, very famous French businessman who was the father of my best friend, who I enjoyed having business discussions when I was a teenager. When I turned 18, offered me my first cigar. So that was like a big form of honor. And
do you still know what cigar?
Yes, he used to smoke, I'm going to say, about almost a box of Monte Cristos a day. So,
No.
yeah, it's the only cigar he was smoking. But everywhere he was, the smell of his cigar in his office, in his house, in his country house, the smell was part of his personality. And I enjoy it from the very, very beginning. Although after, when I moved to the United States, I always was excited about bringing in, the finer things of life into the market. So I've always been involved in luxury products, and this is how I made my transition to the cigar industry. I was already in the leather business because I was the first person to create a very high-end leather kit. It was called a luxury travel kit that I was marketing through private aviation, corporate jets.
You mean something like this?
Yes, but it was made for your amenities. So you had toothbrushes, and you had razors, and you had perfumes, and you had body creams from brands like Van Cleef & Arpels, Oscar de la Renta, Yves Saint Laurent, Christian Dior, all the famous French brands. Yes. So when the cigar boom started, I created a travel humidor, and that was the very beginning of my journey into the cigar industry.
A very, very popular item in the cigar world. Completely magnetic.
So that's not the item, Tom.
Okay, but this is your travel humidor right now.
Yeah. That was a different travel humidor. Because,
so there's a development.
Yeah. So I was at a yacht show in Florida, and one of my customers that I was providing the luxury travel kits asked me, you make these beautiful cases for my personal amenities, but I travel with my cigars in a Ziploc bag. You know, a Ziploc bag's a plastic bag. Yeah. And he said, can you make me a travel humidor? So I thought, interesting. I had never heard about a travel humidor. And I basically put together a very rough prototype of a cylinder. That product still exists. It's my cylinder desktop humidor. Yes, the steel one. Yeah. Although when I started, it had a strap to carry on, right? Okay. And I put together a prototype, a very rough prototype, and I was looking for a humidifier, to put inside. Yeah. And I went to a local supplier, and that supplier, at the end of the cigar boom, but it was still the boom, said, "Oh, I love this product. Can I distribute it for you?" I said, "Sure." He says, "How many do I need to make?" I come up with a number just like this. I said, 1,000 pieces. This is America. No problem. They gave me an order for 1,000 pieces. So I walked out in the street, and it was a happy dance, because it was like 1,000 pieces. It was wonderful. And a week later, I thought about this travel humidor, making it a little wider, and not for travel, but for your desk. And go back to them and say, "We love it. How many do we need to buy?" 200. So now I have over $100,000 in orders in a new industry that I don't know anything about. And I started manufacturing for them. And about a month and a half that I am still into producing, they're calling me and they're telling me, "We have some good news and bad news." And I say, "What is it?" And they say, "Well, the good news is that we just got bought by a very large company, which in reality was Tabacalera de España, because they own the name Romeo and Juliet. This company that I bought was called Whole Coror. They own Romeo and Juliet. And Tabacalera de España merged with a French company, La Seita, and created one of the largest cigar conglomerates in the world. And they decided to discontinue all accessories. So the company wanted to focus essentially on their Primo cigars and discontinue the accessories. Although the people that gave me the initial orders were very respectful of the agreement they had with me. Altadis, the name of the company. Okay. Altadis, okay? French-Spanish company, very, very large cigar company. Still. Altadis. Yes, of course. Okay. Altadis is one of the largest cigar distributors in the world. Mm-hmm. And so after they decided to discontinue the accessory, they say, "We will still buy all your products, but we will sell them in the back door at a discounted price." That day was a big reflection day for me, because I said, I got to meet some tobacconists, some people that own cigar shops, and they're the most wonderful people I've met in my life. I love this industry. I love the people of this industry. I love the people of this industry because many of them come from all kinds of backgrounds. Some of them are lawyers, doctors, firemen, policemen, you name it. The reason why people usually get into this is for passion. It's a passion. And it's not to become rich. It's because you enjoy everything that surrounds cigars. The friendship, the camaraderie, the discussions, the enjoyment, the relaxation, and the bonding with your friends about smoking a cigar. And I met some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people in this industry that I have become friends very quickly. And it made me think I wanted to stay in this industry. But it was very hard because the cigar industry was falling apart. So I continued to manufacture that product to complete my commitment. But at the same time, at the end of the 90s, I created the first cigar case, leather case, laminated with Spanish cedar. And at that time, there was many brands, but nobody had ever done that. You know, all the brands, the Duponts and the Daniels and the Davidoff, nobody had a cigar case made with leather and Spanish cedar. And I made the case, and I decided I will never put all my eggs in one basket, meaning I will not go back to a distributor that today can make me very high and tomorrow put me down. I will go meet all these wonderful people one-on-one. So while I had a very good life at this time, I was young, I was in my mid-20s, and I was doing very well and living in Malibu and living the life, you know. All of a sudden, the revenue stream stopped. And I had to sell all my toys, get rid of everything. I made about 200 cigar cases. I put them in the back of my car, and I traveled America on every highway. I traveled through, America is divided by 3 major highways that go south, center, and north. And I drove America in a zigzag to go meet in person all these wonderful tobacconists. And most of them were telling me, where were you 5 years ago? Where were you with the cigar boom? Okay. You would be a millionaire by now, you know? And reality is I was there too late. But I was perseverant, and the reason I was persevering in it is because, again, the people that I had met were so wonderful, and I decided I wanted to stick to that industry. So 98, 99 were very difficult years, but in 1999, at the end of 1999, I met a wonderful man that has created my destiny, and his name is Carlito Fuente Jr. And Carlito Fuente Jr. said, this is the most beautiful cigar case I've seen, and so efficient because the cases were tight to seal the humidity. They had a lot of attributes. They had cedar dividers from the very beginning to retain more moisture in the case.
You're speaking about this cigar case, right? So
it changed very little bit. So that there's always a very tight seal, as you can see here. This is called a show band, so you can see the cigars. You have the dividers, and you have the cedar. And so at that time, Carlito asked me, can I make a limited edition for Opus X? And I presented 3 limited editions, and I said, how many do you want to make? Well, he said, 999. I said, wow, 999. This is more than a limited edition, but it still is. 999 in 3 different colors. So that's 2,997 cigar cases, which is almost 3,000 cases.
They came in a... And you already had your workshops in Mexico, California?
No, it was all in Los Angeles. So I started making these, I was making them in Los Angeles, and I was going through, I was subcontracting with another cigar shop. They was mostly working with me before when I was doing the luxury accessories for the boats and for the yachts and for the planes. But, so we created the Opus X case. It was extremely luxurious. It was inspired by the boxes, the wood boxes that were made by Moët & Chandon for the celebration of the year 2000. They were made of maple with a leather latch. It had a little booklet inside that explains the whole story. Came into a black velvet pouch that had the Opus X brand logo, which is still today the #1 brand in America, embroidered on it. And the cases had varnish. It was black leather with varnish, maple wood, and ebony with the Opus X logo. And that was a turning point because in less than 18 months, we sold all 3,000 pieces. And starting the beginning of, so basically making a case for Opus X was my first collaboration that allowed people to know my brand and to know what I was doing and our existence. And so following the turn of the century, the year 2000, the millennium, that's when I started expanding my line and manufacturing a range of other products, one after the other.
Okay.
But this was the starting of the
Yes,
business.
nice, so nice. Yeah, so your products were barely available in Europe, and I came across your product because I was looking for something like this 3 years ago. This is not my personal one, but I have something like this, and I was looking on eBay, on internet for months and months and months for a decent, nice leather travel case for cigars. So you have some cheap versions on it from with the Cohiba stamp on it, and that wasn't what I was looking for. And then in the end, after 3-4 months of searching and looking, I came across on eBay. So
on eBay, it should not have been on eBay because I don't really. Somehow it was a coincidence.
That's the way I met the Brizard Co products.
Because we don't sell on eBay, and maybe somebody else put it in. So
somebody else did.
You ran into it by accident.
But it was a decent shop price I paid for it. And I paid the customs, and it came from the US, and it was beautiful, and it's still beautiful until this day. 3 years of use. It's the conditions, the leather, the colors, beautiful done. And I ordered the cutter, the lighter, I was so proud of having such a decent product. And then at once, 1 year later, I wanted to start a web shop and a distributing company for cigar accessories and other accessories, and so I tried to find you and try to establish a contact, and in the end that worked out as well. So we have a history together from in the last 2 years, I think. 1.5 year, 2 years.
Yes, that's about right. Correct. Yes.
And it was also born out of I had the idea what kind of product I needed, and all the other things I came across were not the things I really needed until I had your Havana Traveler, and it works perfect until this day, and that's beautiful. So we're now connected, and I'm allowed to distribute your marvelous products in the center of Europe. To shops and all kind of customers. All the things that are arriving every month, we receive a new order from you, a new package, and with the most beautiful products, useful. So we will talk about some of the products you will show here, but maybe it's.
We can do this in the order that you would like. But
yeah, okay. But
the one thing that you are noticing here when you're looking, this is one collection, and we have over 40 different collections made of different leathers and woods and leather and wood combinations. And so, but one of the unique aspects from, without speaking specifically about each product's functional features, one of the unique aspects is that we create collections where all the items match with each other.
Yeah.
So if you are really an aficionado and you like to carry all your accessories together, you can carry products that are part of the same collection, with a case with a matching lighter, or a humidor with a matching table lighter, and a cutter as well. They're all individually made with the highest concern about functionality and quality. So the aesthetics, the visual aesthetics is very important, but to me the most important part is the quality of the raw component, which basically delivers the functionality.
Yeah.
As we spoke before, the ingredient, using the best blade on your cutter, using the best leather on your case, selecting a cedar that doesn't bleed or doesn't have a sap on it, that is has a beautiful grain. All that is part of the process, the selection of the ingredients and then the assembling.
Do you mind if I get a smoke? We are on the middle of the day. And I understand you.
It sounds good, and maybe we should start with a ritual here.
Do you also want to smoke?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. We're on the middle of the day, and usually I start smoking then.
Then
Good moment
we
to
have a
start
cigar
one.
that you have actually prepared here for me.
Yeah.
One of your morning cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As is this one. This is the Kijk from Cuba.
Fantastic.
You have Quesada.
So we should maybe cut it to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You have an option here. You have a number of different options.
Cyril, we already discussed we told about how beautiful it is, the wood products and the leathers and all the lighters and the products you have here. You can spend a lot of money on cigar accessories as you can on cigars themselves. What does the beauty add to the cigar, the beauty of the accessories?
Correct. The beauty and the functionality, the quality of the products, right?
Okay.
I think it's before anything else. It's a form of honoring if you can afford it. But you know, premium cigar are expensive. They're expensive because they're very laborious. They're handmade. It's a long process. Not only the manufacturing process is a long process, the aging, the curing process. And so when you have a cigar that is being made to start and going through, you know, at least 25 to 30 hands before you get a different product. It goes from the assembling and the fermentation and the leaves and the separation and the cutting and the rolling and then the time that you give for the cigar to age. The cigar is a noble product, okay? A noble product that I respect very much. And I think that utilizing the proper tools to enjoy your cigar is a form of honoring all the work and the passion and the know-how that goes into making a cigar. It's a form of respect for the art of the cigar. I don't respect and believe that somebody who is going to cut their cigar with their nails or bite into the cigar has much of an understanding or much respect for the art of the cigar.
Oh.
You know, I like to make an analogy, maybe because I am French, but between cigars and wine. You know, if you are going to open up a great bottle of Burgundy or a Bordeaux, to be able to treat the wine with care, you know, store it properly, store it at the right temperature to drink it. It's the same thing as preserving a cigar at the right level of humidity, so you get the full enjoyment of it. If you drink a great bottle of wine, you're going to put it in, you're going to decant it to get the maximum of the cigar. You're going to aerate it. You're going to put it in the appropriate glass. The same thing goes with a cigar. So for me, the cigar is a ritual, okay? When I smoke a premium cigar, I put a lot of importance to the whole ritual. The ritual is going to start with, now the ritual is going to satisfy all my senses. It's going to satisfy my vision, so I will personally look and appreciate the beauty of the cigar.
How it is
how the vein, the selection, the wrapper is a beautiful thing. The sheen of the cigar, the color of the cigar. So that will be my first level of appreciation.
The silk glow on the...
Exactly. The second level of appreciation is going to be tactile. So I am going to feel the cigar with my hands because I like to feel the evenness of the rolling. So if I find a bit of a knot in the middle or a too tightness, I will roll it like this to loosen up the tobacco. But feeling the cigar is part of the, to me, enjoyment, pre-enjoyment of the cigar. On the third phase, I'm going to smell the cigar. And there is where I should not say to my American public, my American customers, but I have a preference, and probably because of how I started smoking cigar when I was 18, but I have a preference for the Cuban tobacco. It has a very animal It smells like a wet barn stable, you know.
There is certainly a smell of a barn in the
In a
kiln.
barn, it has a combination of leather.
Yeah.
It has a combination of
Horse barn.
horse barn, which is very rich.
Yeah.
Which actually, I would say, to use a Japanese term, has a lot of umami to it.
Yeah. Oh,
you know.
okay. What's that meaning?
Well, the umami is the it's the sense. You know, the Japanese have defined the seven different senses, sensorial taste sense. So you have the sweet. Your mouth is full of sensors, and you have the sweet sensors. You have the salt sensors. You have the sour sensors. The umami is what you do with miso. It's like this really rich, earthy, mushroomy, wet forest, fermenting
Yes, okay,
smell.
I understand. I also can understand that in the cow and horse barns you have this kind of fermenting
Smells it, correct,
Yeah.
yes. So to me it's very satisfying. It's a very satisfying, it connects with the brain. The enjoyment of the smell of the cigar is part of the ritual.
Yeah.
And at that point, once I've enjoyed a cigar from a visual standpoint, tactile standpoint, smell standpoint, I'm going to be ready to properly cut my cigar, you know.
Yeah.
And now you have different options. People who think a cut is a cut is a cut is not what I would agree with.
No.
Different cuts will give you different sensations.
Yeah.
So nowadays we have, the double guillotine, which gives you a straight cut. We have the V cut. We have the punch cut. But I don't know if you know, historically, before there was V cuts, straight cuts, punch cuts, people didn't have all these tools. And in Cuba, in the mid-1800s, the gentlemen used to cut their cigars with a tool that they were calling a perforador, okay? And a perforador was piercing the cigar. And if you look at sometime in old antique shops and at Christie's auctions on occasion, you can find some exquisite perforadors that are 150 years old, which was the first tool to enjoy a cigar.
So the guillotine cutters, they didn't have them.
No, they were not doing straight cuts, V cuts, punch cuts. They were perforador was the initial way, historical way of cutting a cigar. I'm going to show you the different cut options that we have.
Please do.
But the one that I'm going to start is a product that I have created to revive the oldest way of cutting cigars, which is the modern perforador.
Okay, please.
And I call
go
it
ahead.
the trilogy spear. So what it is I'm going to show you here. It's made of surgical stainless steel, the hardest steel you can get. Okay, it's a very simple. It comes in a leather pouch to protect it, like all my cutters. Okay, and you unscrew it. It's very smooth. And what you have here is you have a spear. Let me put this cutter back here properly. You have a spear here, which has 3 blades on the side, and it's very pointy and very sharp. And what you do is between each blade, there is a concave area in order to scoop the tobacco that you're going to cut in order to extract it and create 3 chambers. So you go on top of the cigar and you basically rotate like that. You can go like this and you go about 1 centimeter deep into the cigar. Okay. Little more than 1 centimeter, maybe 1.5, almost 2 centimeters. You do one, then you go on the other side. You go like this, and you cut another hole. And then you go here, and you cut another hole. Okay. It's very precise. It's very surgical. Yeah. Once you have these 3 holes, as you can see here, I will show to the camera, you have the 3 holes. You have a bit of tobacco inside that has been cut, and you don't want to draw on it because it will be unpleasant. Yeah. So what you do, you put the foot of the cigar in your mouth. Yep. Did you see that cloud of powder that came out?
Yeah. Dust.
You have this dust that's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have 3 holes that have been very cleanly cut. And this is going to deliver you a very unique experience. The first reaction when people see this cut is skepticism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you make 3 little holes on a cigar, I have shown this hundreds and hundreds of maybe thousands of times to different people. And I can tell you that more than 90% of the time when people see me making these 3 little holes on the cigar, people are skeptical.
Okay.
Always. They're skeptical because they wonder how good of a draw can I get from 3 little holes on my cigars. And the fact that it's that deep and you extract the tobacco is what allows you to have such a good draw. When I present this to a customer, I create the 3 little holes, I put it in their hands, I say, please draw on it. And they are usually surprised by the quality of the draw.
Okay.
And they are usually unbelievably surprised that out of 3 little holes, you can get such a good draw. Okay. Then I ask them to continue with the experience, and while you draw on it, try to draw on it without even igniting it, to rotate the cigar in your mouth, okay, slowly. Are you noticing that the draw is directed in 3 different areas? It's almost, like a garden hose. Those garden hose where the jets are going around in circles?
Right. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You have the smoke which is directed in different parts of your sensors in your mouth. And the third element that I ask, because a lot of times it's just like tasting wine. If I don't tell you there is strawberry and dark cherry and oak wood, you may not immediately recognize it in the wine. So I ask you if you actually sense the coolness of the tobacco.
Yeah, immediately.
And immediately your brain is going to connect with the fact that, oh yes, it's completely different from a different cut.
That's the first thing you notice. It's so cool. That's such a big difference.
And cooling the tobacco is one of, in multiple cultures, smoking the shishas and smoking the pipe. In multiple cultures, cooling the tobacco is always been something that enhances the experience of the smoke. Okay. It's less harsh on you, on your throat, and it's also delivering more defined aromas. When the tobacco is cooled down, it enhances the aromas. When the tobacco is hot, you don't get as many nuances in the taste of the cigar. So the action of drilling 3 little holes and cooling the tobacco allows you to get more enjoyment out of your cigar.
Okay.
And so this is like one of my favorite cutters. First of all, it's nothing new, like I said. It's the oldest way of cutting cigars.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't know that, but I'm here to, I made my research, and this is why I created this product. Now, one very important fact when you draw on it is to blow from the foot to extract any kind of residue. So this is one cutter. This is the Trilogy cutter. Now I will show you my other cutters. And one of the cutters here, my second favorite cutter. Now you're going to notice one thing. All my cutters, the Trilogy, the double guillotine, the square double guillotine, all come with a magnetic closer protective pouch. Quality with leather inside or suede on the inside here. And the reason why these are very high quality cutting instrument. It's not just a cheap cutter, made in some cheap factory.
No.
It has a very, very precise level of action and with very tight tolerances. And the importance for me to protect your cutter is also, you use great tools to honor and in respect of your cigar, but you have nice leather pouches to protect your tool and to keep your tool in good condition. Tom, one of the things is, are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of V-cutter used to not be very ergonomic, and you didn't have a good control on the cigars. Please give me your right hand. Put your thumb here, middle finger here, and slowly open and close this cutter. How does it feel?
like it's with water
almost
pressure
like
or
it's
pneumatic.
pneumatic,
Yeah.
pneumatic
Yeah.
or hydraulic,
Yes.
and it feels so smooth. And the weight, you feel the weight, the heft that it has.
Massive.
A quality product is not only something you can see, but something you can feel. Mhm. There's no wobbling. There is no shaking. The whole action is very, very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So although I did my 3 little holes here, okay, I'm going to now demonstrate this to you.
Yeah.
Here is the cutter over here, and I will place my cigar in here, and one quick snap like that.
Yeah.
And look at the precision of this V cutter.
Yeah, you can nowhere you see something messy.
Nothing, no
It's so
messiness,
sharp.
no. It's a deep cut,
Yeah.
as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sharp, very clean, and now it's going to provide. I like the V cutter on a little bit of a bigger ring gauge cigar.
Okay.
I like the V cutter on a
50 millimeter and bigger.
Yes, I would personally go 55, 54, 56 and above.
Yeah.
I will go for the V cutter. And the reason is because the V cutter also has a very different tactile sensation. Very often, I will place the tongue right where the V cut is made and taste the tobacco, which of course you cannot do when you're doing it on the wrapper. It's very different. But the juices of the tobacco are going to give me a different sensation as well. And it's a very interesting way of, with a little bit of a limitation, because on a very big cigar, if you do a straight cut, now you're never supposed to, you always cut the very tip of the cigar, you scalp the top of the cigar. A lot of time people go too much and then will cut their cigar while you have a really big opening. So in order to prevent that, you see, because if you're very often what people do with a V cutter is that this is another way of doing it. Here, I'm going to show you this other double guillotine. Is if you want to really control the double guillotine, what you will do is you will put it on a table like this, okay? And you will put the cigar like this, right? And now you're going to do this, okay?
Yeah.
And now you're not going to cut too much, okay? You're going to cut just the right amount, okay?
Okay.
So
Never seen that.
Yeah, you've seen that, right? So this is another way of doing so you don't go too much into the cigar, right? So this is a very, very, this is probably the metal work is done. It's the same factory that makes it for Esté Dupont, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Wow.
It's the same factory. It's a palladium finish. It has a very smooth action. And when you put it back into the pouch, which you see here, it's all nubuck suede inside. So it's soft on the material. It doesn't scratch the leather. And it's very tight, fit like this. Okay, and then you just have access to the little button so you can easily remove it, okay? Now another thing is so that it keeps its structural rigidity, this cut thing here, the leather is built on a galvanized steel plate.
Okay.
And the reason why is that, show me the travel humidor here, okay, so that it can be used on any magnetic surface. So you see how the case here, actually the case like here, the case here is magnetic. Okay, you see how these pouches here are magnetic? Well, let me remove them here. You don't see any magnets here. You don't see any magnets here, but you can put this over here and it will stay in place. So you can use that cutter if you want rather than this pouch. This is probably for your lighter, but you can put this one as well here. This is one of the unique aspects of the travel humidor where everything is magnetic. And then here we go. The last one that I will show you, it's very, very traditional double guillotine here with a palladium finish. This double guillotine is the most classical shape. I will say some people have said to me before, well, this looks like the Davidoff cutter. Indeed, it has the very similar shape and design of the Davidoff cutter. The only plus is, I will say there are 3 plus. You have a much bigger ring gauge
Yeah.
than the Davidoff cutter.
True.
You have a protective leather pouch to protect your cutter from scratches and damages, which you don't have in the Davidoff cutter. And the third element is that it's about 1/3 of the price of the Davidoff cutter.
Whoa.
So 3 reasons why this cutter, if you want to pick a Davidoff cutter, will deliver you 3 elements.
Yeah.
Let's
And,
light them up, right?
Yeah, but what lighter do we use?
Well, I will say, I'm going to show you 3 pocket lighters here, okay?
Yeah.
And then we have 1 table lighter here. So let's start with the pocket lighters. The purist, the traditional cigar smokers, have always preferred to, this is a very interesting thing here. The traditional way of lighting a cigar was always with a soft flame, okay?
Yeah.
Some real purists like to ignite a piece of cedar and have the flame slowly lighting your cigar. So for that purpose, we have the Éternel. The Éternel, eternal shape, it's a very classic lighter, okay, where you have 2 flames, double flames. Now, let me show you here when you put the cigar, and you will see here how it works. The purpose of this double flame is to do a more even ignition of the cigar and wrap around the cigar. So the double flame here is a classic lighter which will give you a soft ignition. Now we have 2 torch lighters, and the reason torch lighters have become increasingly popular is because more and more, we know you can't, back to the days where everybody was able to smoke indoors, you were able to use a soft flame lighter as the classic way of doing it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a lot of people, you cannot smoke indoors unless you go to a special lounge or your wife allows you to do it in your house, like you know. But most people have to smoke outdoors, and outdoors very often you have windy conditions.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to smoke if they play golf on the golf course, or like if they're on the boat, or even sitting on their terrace or a porch or, country house. But you likely have some wind. So that is the reason why people have used torch lighters. So the Venezia, why do we call it the Venezia? This is also a lighter which is made by the same factory that makes the DuPont torch lighter, okay? So you can understand the quality of the ignition, the quality of the mechanism is of the same level. What we do...
technically, your cutters and lighters are equal to the DuPont.
No brand of cigar is manufacturing their own lighters. Well, except the line 2 of DuPont, which is made in France.
Okay.
But as far as torch lighters, most of them are made in China and Korea. Those are the 2 places.
Okay.
Now, it's like everything else. You have good factories, and you have not so good factories, and you have the best of them. And obviously, for these brands like DuPont, my brand, we have to deal with the absolute most precise and the best company. What we do is the embellishment, the decoration, the wrapping with the leather and with the wood and the finish, where you see even at the bottom you have leather and the assembling of the olive wood on top. But this Venezia lighter, okay, why do we call it the Venezia? I don't know if you can see here with the background, or the black background of my sweater,
I can see.
the fleur-de-lis flame,
Yes,
okay?
the shape of the flame.
The fleur-de-lis flame, the purpose of this special flame is to deliver a lot of heat and to condensate the heat into one sharp point. A lot of time, because people want power, they use double flames or triple flame cigars, the flames. The inconveniency, and whenever a lot of double flame and triple flame or quadruple flame torch lighters, is that they will char the cigar because they're not precise, so you cannot do a very surgical ignition. The Venezia will give you a flame, here we go. The Venezia will give you a flame which focuses into one point, so here we go. And it's so powerful that you can be like, a few centimeters maybe away from your cigar. You can see here, and the heat will toast your cigar.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Perfect ignition, my friend.
Yeah.
Now,
What do you
I will
recommend
show
me
you
to
for
do?
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the lighter, which is the choice of the elegant gentleman,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
you are.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
thank you.
It's the sottile.
Yeah.
The sottile, when you wear
Sounds more Italian than French.
well, we call it a sottile because sottile means thin in Italian.
Yes.
So it is basically designed for people who wear tight clothes and suits where you
Slim
don't want
fits.
to have a slim fit and you don't want to have a bulky, heavy lighter in your pocket, which will feel that takes a lot of room. So the sottile is extra plat, extra thin, and is basically very elegant. It's also made by the same factory that I was mentioning here, but it will deliver you a very sharp single flame. You can see for yourself.
Okay, thank you.
The flame is maybe a little high right now, and that's why it's actually stopping. You may want to actually, you have a lot of pressure, and that's what will happen. This is the lighter that you will take when you are going to an elegant function and you're dressed with either a tuxedo or a suit, and you want to carry something that's not too heavy but yet elegant with you. Now, when you're at home and you don't need to carry it in your pocket, we have the Gatsby. Right? So the Gatsby, which you see here, we call it the Gatsby because it's reminiscent. It has a bit of an Art Deco,
very monumental architectural shape.
From back from the area of Art Deco, and it has actually something very mechanically interesting. You don't need to lift the cap. All you need to do is press on the lever here, and when you press the lever, you see the cap automatically goes up. You press on the lever and you click, and it ignites.
Wow. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So you don't need to lift this up and click. No, only press on the lever and click, and it ignites, right?
And I learned to do that, not to do so fast, because you intend to do it bomb, like to have.
Well, it doesn't matter. Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Well, Well,
but you first have to hear the gas flowing.
Always.
Yeah.
With every torch lighter.
And then press.
That applies to everyone. You have to always let the gas go out first and then press. If you click too fast, you will, because you're transmitting a very small spark for the ignition, and you need to have a time, quarter of a second for the butane to come out, the gas, and then the ignition. So you do this, and then you do this. And the same thing is with this one here. You lift it up, and then you do that, right?
So the two-step use of your torch lighters is very important. In contrary to the soft flames, which have a different system, they have a fire.
Correct. Yes.
That you can do that right away.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Gatsby lighter has an additional feature here. So you have one wheel at the bottom, which is designed to adjust the flame, and you have another wheel at the bottom, which is a punch cutter. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. We have a punch cutter here. And an additional tool is going to be the poker.
Okay, you can poke your cigar.
Is going to be used in case the head of the cigar is too compact, too tight. So you can actually poke the cigar to loosen up the tobacco.
When there is something of a knot in the...
Correct.
Yes, okay.
Yes, you will be able to do that. So you have this little tool that's hidden in here, and then you close it up, and it looks like a shotgun here.
Yeah.
You can see, but this is the Gatsby lighter.
Nice. Thank you. So the ritual has been started with cutting the chews for the cutter, the chews for the lighter, and much of it comes with the condition in which you smoke the cigar, inside, outside, whatever. But also you also choose the way you want to taste the cigar and how to cut it.
Exactly, right. the different cuts will deliver you a different appreciation of the cigar. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we recommend the cigar aficionado to try all these ways to cut, because you can experience your cigar in really 3, 4 very, very different tasting patterns. So your cigar will taste very different with a V cut as it tastes with a guillotine, or it tastes very different with a punch cut.
Well, we didn't talk about the punch cut, not the trilogy cut, but for example, yes, we do have a punch cut at the bottom of our Gatsby lighter. The punch cut will actually deliver you typically less smoke, but more concentration and more spices. And the reason is that the combustion will occur more through the ligero, which is where all the strong flavors of the cigars are. You know, the binding, you have the ligero, which is the center of the cigar. You have the binding, and then you have the wrapper. So you have different elements. But when you're smoking through a punch cut, you have less of a draw, but you typically have more intensity of smoke, of the flavors and the spice. So it is a different way. It's not uncommon for aficionados to begin their cigar with a punch cut, especially at the beginning, to begin their cigar with a punch cut, and maybe halfway through to give it a straight cut to have a different sensorial and smoking experience.
Yeah. We speak each other regularly, maybe weekly, on the phone, in a time frame which is convenient for me and for you, because we live about 10 hours time zones.
That's right,
from each
10
other,
hours, correct? Yes.
10 time zones, yeah. And one of the remarkable things of last month actually was a conversation with you when you noticed something completely unexpected after the election, after the last presidential election when Trump was elected.
Yes. Well, I have to say, I have known about Donald Trump for a long time, personally. Okay, I've known him.
You do know him on a personal?
No. Okay. His sons are actually smokers. Eric Trump, who are members of the Grand Havana Room in New York.
Yeah.
And his sons,
Donald Jr.
Eric mostly, but I haven't seen him in the last several years. But since actually Trump has been a president, but his son smokes cigars. He never touched a cigarette or anything. Any smoke in his life, but his sons do like to smoke cigars, and they all use all my accessories. So I witnessed that, because the most famous actually tobacco shop in the United States, or famous from the fact that a lot of celebrities are members. It's a members only. So a lot of politicians, Mayor Giuliani, who used to be also the mayor of New York, and used to be Donald Trump's personal attorney, has Havana Travelers and all our accessories.
So that's a nice thing. That's nice.
But from a business standpoint, I will admit, when Trump became president the first time, because I don't believe that he had the formal background in education and political knowledge, I was very skeptical, and I did not really, like many people, I really didn't care much for him as a person and as a president for the United States. But, I think that in life, you have to be open-minded. You have to see how things evolve, how people are, what they do. And as many people in America, I have changed my mind about him.
You were surprised that he wasn't doing as bad as everyone was telling and expecting he would?
It's not that I was surprised about that. It's that with perspective, after he was president, during his first presidency, I did not really care much about him. We had a strong economy. The COVID crisis was handled fairly well in the United States. His government has actually helped a lot of people to overcome the financial difficulties of the COVID time. So there was a lot of support for many businesses, and that was during his presidency.
Also for the S&P especially?
The what?
The small and medium
Oh, absolutely. For
enterprises.
all classes of people, absolutely. Now, several months ago, as we were about to look into electing a new president, one of the more, there's two main points about Trump that made me change my mind, okay? One is, of course, the state of the economy and how he is supporting a free economy where he is limiting regulations and opening opportunities and helping small businesses and facilitating bank loans and allowing businesses to thrive, basically. So from an economical standpoint, I believe he was very good. And the other thing, which is very important, he is probably the only American president in the last 50 years or so, I wouldn't have the exact dates, that has not started a war. And
Fair
America
enough.
has had this very, pretty much every American president has started wars in different places of the world. And war is not a good thing. And, it may be benefiting some governments and, of course, the U.S. government. But Trump never started. And I think that he took the good lesson from Ronald Reagan, power through, strength through peace, through peace through strength. Being strong but keeping peace.
Yeah.
That is his motto, and I think that his motto was applied very well, and no war was started. So I feel that at this very crucial moment, Trump was actually the absolute best thing for the United States in this world in crisis right now, where the whole Western Europe is suffering economically, where millions of people have died for no reason. I think that it will, and it started being from the very day he got elected, it's going to turn things around for America and for the American economy. And you were actually just asking me right now. I can tell you, 2024, we have growth every year. 2024 was a relatively flat year in the business, okay? Not good, not bad.
Yeah, for me
but
too.
About a week after Trump got elected, my business started thriving, literally.
Wow.
And I believe that a lot of the higher net worth individuals that are willing and able to spend, that have the dispensable income that normally in a crisis situation will hold on to their money. All of a sudden, when you start seeing that there is going to be a deregulation, that the stock market is going up, that there is a lot of optimism as well, because it's not necessarily in the immediate result, but the climate, the optimism. And there was a general sense of optimism.
What was the expectation when Kamala Harris could be elected? What was the expectation in the economy?
Well, it would be a continuation of what has been going on.
Did she
And I'm not
also-
so worried about, I can't say that the Biden years were bad from an economical standpoint, because the United States has never gone into a recession. It's been 4 years that people speak about, are we going to enter in a recession? Are we going to get into a recession? But there was no recession. There was a lot of job creation. My company has been growing at a 20% plus rate every year during the Biden years. So the economy was not so bad, but the economy was starting to get bad because this war in Ukraine is draining. It's gone too long, too far. I could feel that, people were worried and people are becoming very concerned. And if Kamala Harris had won the presidency, I think that she would have continued the same policy that was, done by Biden and the deep state and, supporting sending money to Ukraine, which is going nowhere and it's creating no results. So I think it's big time right now for a big change, And so we are looking forward to hopefully things changing for America and for the rest of the world.
So you really had a remarkable moment in the economy that started spending at the moment Trump was elected. So people really had a different expectation from the reign of Kamala Harris against that the chances the economy have when Donald Trump would be elected. There were completely different expectations. Your economy, you're not the only one. The whole economy in America is booming right now.
Yes. Within about 1 week following the election of Donald Trump, there is a general sentiment of optimism, which created an immediate dynamic into the economy, and our orders started expanding in an exponential way following 1 week after his election. Although he was not even president, he's not even inaugurated, but just from a perspective of optimism, it has changed the ambiance, the general.
Well, that's incredible, Cyril, because we are in Europe, in the Netherlands, and we don't relate economical lines up and down to the American economy, but personally speaking, my business went the same way. Somewhere in November, and I didn't relate that to the election of Trump at all, but I made 30% revenue in the last 7 or 8 weeks of the year. And that's a little bit strange because the whole year was flat for me as well.
Well, I think that once you speak about, deregulating unnecessary rules, when you're starting to have the idea that you're going to have a government that's going to be less involved in private affairs, taking less of your money via taxes, allowing you more freedom to do your business, it all of a sudden creates and sparks an enthusiasm where people, again, can think that they're working for themselves, as opposed to working for in a climate where you have a government who is all about redistributing all your efforts. The redistribution factor is not very encouraging in the society, People like to feel that whenever they are choosing to put 60, 70 hours enough of work in a week, and they're doing it with passion, that at least the very large portion of their efforts is benefiting them and their companies and their loved ones, and by the same factor, promoting, because of course a healthy company is able to better pay his employees, to give better benefits, to give him more advantages. When you have a company which has got to pay enormous amount of taxes to the government, well, then the destiny of your employees is basically somehow the government, and they really don't have that opportunity to grow as much as with a thriving economy where there is freedom. It's a false idea that with a totalitarian regime where you have to pay so much taxes and the government rules everything. The government has never been good at ruling anything, That is why now I think that the involvement of Elon Musk and looking at all the efficient part of the government, where the government doesn't spend the money where it should be spent or overspends it where it shouldn't be spent, all that has to be trimmed down, and it has to it has to be done in a way to make the economy be healthy. An economy has to be sustainable. When you're taking the money from the creation and you have to redistribute it where it's not growing, it is not sustainable. So eventually it creates more debt, it creates more social problems, and it's not the solution, it's the root of the problem. The solution is to free up the economy, to liberate people, and to let the people make the best decision to create an economy that is sustainable. Because with a sustainable economy, you can benefit the whole chain of the workforce. And I am all for the workforce to be making better revenue and having a better life. But it is the nature of the human being. I think the free system is the most appropriate to the core nature of the human beings. Humans are not individuals who wanted to be born all on the same platform and basically have limitations. We're not equal, we're all different. Some people are willing to work more, harder. Some people are willing to study harder and be more performant in what they do than others. And it is the exceptional work and talent of people who are willing to go the extra mile that progresses the economy. Once the economy is regulated by the government and you don't allow the people who are able to thrive, then if the company cannot thrive, how can the employee thrive? You know, the liberals and the lefty governments which believe in redistributing all the wealth that is created are not creating more wealth. So eventually, when you're using wealth wealth is designed to create more wealth. Yeah. And if you're taking wealth and you're redistributing without creating more wealth, eventually the well is going to dry, you know? In order to keep having water in the well, you need to...
The engine for wealth is the most optimum producing small and middle-sized enterprises, and the more those enterprises can produce and sell, the more the economy is stimulated, and
of course,
and also the more taxes the government will have. But if you tax all the companies and wealthy people so much that there is that at the end it goes at the cost of production and at the cost of loans and
especially, you know, small businesses. You know, I consider we are a small company, a small business. And, you know, the Fortune 500, the large companies will always have ways to, you know, pay lesser taxes and organize themselves in a way where it will not affect them that much. But in reality, it is the small businesses in America. The wealth of America is the small and medium-sized company. You know, companies from 5 to 30 employees. Yeah. And this is the large majority of American businesses. It's not mega companies with, you know, 5,000 and above employees. It's small 5 to 15 mom and pop entrepreneurs, people that began little craftsman company, restaurants, design, you know, small constructions, artisan, creators. We were talking earlier, America is one of the countries that has the largest amount of, you know, blue collar millionaire, because you can be anything in America. You can be a plumber, you can be an electrician, you can be a welder and become a millionaire because of the dynamic and because the fact that you can grow and hire people to follow your expertise. And the small businesses, you know, my leather supplier one day, I had a discussion with him. As a matter of fact, late last night I was talking to him when I was making noise. And my leather supplier one day, I had this discussion with him and I said, you know, I'm only a small guy for you because, you know, if you have Prada or Gucci or some large company that comes in and buys a large amount of leather, you know, it's probably more important. He said, no, the core of my business are small people, small companies like yours, which every week, every 2 weeks is going to do small orders because it's going to be constant. It's going to be all year round. And I can see them growing. Sometimes when you have a big company giving you a big order, it's dangerous. Just like me when I started in the business. I got a big order and then it fell down. But when you have, you know, it's better for a company, a medium-sized company, let's say a leather supplier and manufacturer, it's better to have 100 little people that order regularly from you than one guy that's going to give you one time, one very big order, and then you're going to go through a flat time. So, yes, he said, you know, it's small little businesses that order regularly that create the, that are the lifeblood of my business. That's what he said.
Yeah,
so.
Wow. Nice. It seems also like a very good strategy indeed to invest so much in small companies. Let them be. You select your skins yourself, all the leather, all the wood sheets, and they don't mind because they prefer to have 100 people like you than one big company.
That's right. That's correct. Yes.
So that's a kind of situation where the American economy is in, I think. But you also told me, it was late last night, so you told me a lot of beautiful anecdotes. We can't repeat them all, but one of the most
interesting,
interesting.
Surprising.
Yeah, it blew my mind away. So You told me about how you helped Trump becoming a nationwide, well-known figure, not only a high society man.
Well, it was not voluntary. It was not meant to, it's not something.
But it's an absurd story.
But it is a story, actually. So, yes. Well, let's put it this way. In order to become a president of a country, you need to be very popular. You need people to know you, okay? Whether they like you or they don't like you, and how you make them like you and how you promote yourself is a whole different story. But it's always easier for someone that has like mass, that people know, and that have an image of you, because, that is very helpful to become a president.
Yeah.
So back in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, the image of Donald Trump was known through the high circles, society circles of real estate, and casinos, and he was very well known pretty much for his real estate entrepreneurship, right? And he started a few different small businesses, but he was not a household name. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He was not known through all the people that voted for Trump is middle of America.
Yeah.
The people that made Trump elected is not the high society of New York and Miami and Los Angeles. The people that brought Trump to power is low and middle America, from the Midwest, from Texas.
White trash,
yeah.
but not only. But
well, it's the lower income, it's the mass people, it's the mass of the population which brought Trump to power. And how did these people come to know Trump? How did these people get to know him? Well, one very, very important factor was that before Trump was into politics, in the beginning of the millennium, about 15, 20 years ago, he had that show on television called The Apprentice, where he was pictured as this big boss that was, hosting in a corporate environment some entrepreneurs that were presenting their business idea and competing against each other to get funding and support for their entrepreneurship.
Is it similar to Shark Tank now?
It's very similar. It was a similar concept.
Because I have a background in vintage watches, etc. I like it very much. I didn't watch Shark Tank, but I knew Kevin O'Leary because on the internet, in YouTube, he appeared on so many watch channels.
Yeah.
And he's a collectioner, a pure collectioner of high-end watches. So beautiful. He has a beautiful collection. He buys and he comes in many watch shows, and he always, I know he is famous because of Shark Tank. And
Shark Tank followed The Apprentice.
Yeah.
So let me just start telling you the story.
The Apprentice came
So
many
in long
years
story
before Shark
short,
Tank.
I have been an entrepreneur for the last 30 years of my life. I've always been passionate about the elements that are necessary to start a company. And when I was thriving with my company that was manufacturing luxury accessories for the private jet industry and the luxury yachting industry, one of my very good friends, who is an Italian prince who lives in California, who was watching me starting my company, said to me, I have a friend that could be a good assistant for you. He is a former U.S. pilot for the U.S. Air Force. He lives in Hawaii. He's also a writer. He wants to write scripts. And I think he would be a good idea. He would be a great match for your company. Yeah. I took his advice. I flew. I did not know the guy. I never met him in person, but I sent him a plane ticket because he wanted to leave Hawaii and wanted to move to Hollywood, California, get involved in the scripts. And he came to California. I had him leaving at my place at the beginning to help him out. And as you and I were having this discussion, we were having discussion about his interest and my interest and, entrepreneurship. and it was the very beginning of reality TV. Okay, there was no reality TV at, reality TV now is maybe 25 years old, 25 years old. But there was one big reality TV show that was called the Survivor, where somebody gets dropped in the middle of the jungle with a pair of shorts and a knife, and they have to survive for 3 weeks.
A well-known figure?
No, it was anybody. Somebody would be actually, nobody knew who it was, right? So they would be dropped in the middle of the jungle with a knife and a pair of no shoes and a pair of shorts and no clothes, and they would have to survive for 3 weeks. And that show was produced by a man who is the biggest producer of reality TV, whose name is Mark Burnett. Okay. And at that time, Survivor was the most popular TV show on American television. So Mark and I were discussing, Mark Bethea is the gentleman who was the former U.S. pilot in Hawaii and flew to California. And he and I were having a discussion. And he says, I want to create a show. He was very... the reason why he wanted to move from Hawaii and join me is because he liked my entrepreneurial spirit and he liked the idea of starting businesses. And I was involved in different startups in my life of different things. And he says, Cyril, why don't we create something that would be a show about entrepreneurs, like what you do, that come to an audience and present their project and compete against other entrepreneurs to get funding for their project. And I said, Mark, this would be a great idea. And we started brainstorming about the definition and the creation of the show. So at the very beginning, we worked together on the concept of what later would become the Apprentice. We discussed the format, we discussed the idea, we discussed, more importantly, the character that would lead that show. And the character that we both thought about for that show was Donald Trump. Well, nobody knew who he was in the mass market.
Okay.
And he said,
but you saw his character, right?
We knew his character as a well-known American entrepreneur. And at that time, Mark said, I'm going to write the script. He was a writer. And we're going to include from the very, very beginning the character's persona, the name of Donald Trump. So Mark Bethea wrote the whole script of The Apprentice. The Apprentice was not created by Donald Trump. It was not created by Mark Burnett. It was created by Mark Bethea and myself. And we developed the whole idea. We wrote it down. We put it together. And Mark Bethea, who was the writer, because I'm the entrepreneur, but Mark Bethea is the writer. Mark Bethea registered under his name because I was just discussing it as a friend. I had no involvement in that side of the business. I don't remember. He may have asked me if I wanted to be, but that was his thing, and I was about letting him fly with it. And he registered the whole concept of The Apprentice. The only difference is when he registered it, it was called CEO, okay, Chief Executive Officer. Yeah. It was not called The Apprentice. So he registered the script, the whole story, including Donald Trump. He contacted Mark Burnett. And he said, I have a script for you for another reality show. And a couple months later, he received a negative letter saying, we're not interested, from Mark Burnett. Far from being disappointed, he actually wrote the same letter directly to Donald Trump, to a Trump organization, and submitted the show idea and said, I have the show idea. Would you like to be interested and would you like to be involved into a show where you would be the start of the show? And this is the concept. And the show was actually rejected again by Donald Trump and his team. And just a few months later, maybe 6 months to a year later, all of a sudden, the show is showing up on television. And it's called The Apprentice, not CEO. But it's the exact same format as the script that was written by Mark Bethea. Once the show started growing, Mark Bethea and myself were very sour, very bitter about the fact that you can't believe, you know,
They stole
you're right.
the idea.
We got an idea, and the idea is taken by somebody else, and they're making millions of dollars, and you know, what are we doing here? You know, and the idea was literally stolen. But there was a track record. There was the script that was registered with the Screen Actors Guild. Okay,
was a correspondence.
Which is it's more than correspondence. It was registered. It's like a patent.
Yeah.
Okay, it was registered. The Screen Actors Guild is the union that protects all the writers, the actors, the directors, and basically give the right, you know, legal rights to people in the entertainment industry. So the show was registered, just like if you have a product idea, you will go to a patent attorney and you will go to the you know, National Institute of Intellectual Property, and you will protect your intellectual property with a patent or a trademark. When it comes to be a writer, you register it with a Screen Actors Guild. So the whole script was registered. And then there was correspondence submitting the show to Mark Burnett. There was correspondence submitting the show to Donald Trump. So everything was on paper and everything was proved. So soon after, Mark Bethea actually sued Mark Burnett organization and Donald Trump organization. And the matter was settled out of court with about $3.5 million settlement.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And basically, because Mark was the registered owner of the script, he got the settlement, right?
Yeah.
I won't go more about myself because I stayed out of this.
You granted it all to him.
Granted it all to Mark Bethea, and Mark Bethea moved to other things in life.
Okay.
But
He didn't need to work
the
for you
following
anymore.
is that the Apprentice became the following Survivor. Apprentice became the #1 highest grossing show on American television in terms of reality show.
Okay.
And it created a household name for Donald Trump. Everybody across the country, farmers, blue collars, white collars, women, younger people were tuning on their television to watch The Apprentice.
With a single most famous line of Donald Trump himself.
Yes.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Yeah.
That's right. This was part of the script, by the way. You're fired.
So The Apprentice was really a kind of a big step for Trump from becoming
A household name in America.
A household name. Formerly, he was
public recognition, well known throughout the country, throughout families and
so
different societies.
He was a high society figure, limited known, but practically known because you already
knew
Mark
about
Bethea,
yes.
Was also well known for him. So Donald Trump was respectably known as a high society figure, but not a household name until The Apprentice appeared on all televisions all over America.
That really went from making him a man that was known throughout the circles of real estate and the New York, high society in New York, to basically becoming a popular household figure known for being the host of the most famous reality show on American television. It was entertainment, you know.
Yeah, but I would also say that the fact that he was, in that show, he was the boss who could decide when you're fired and you're not.
Absolutely.
Was also essential.
It was essential. That contributed to his powerful decision-making image that created his... because Donald Trump before, had a lot of ups and downs in his life. I think he went through 3 bankruptcies, He started with... the help of his very wealthy father, which gave him about $300 million when he started in a big real estate empire that was already built by his father. And then Donald Trump, was a little bit of a, rich kid, that had this great lifestyle, but the help of his father was, big into it. And, through some decision-making process, maybe some not good, some better, and some not that good. He has gone several times of his life through a lot of hardship, and he has filed like about 2 or 3 bankruptcies. One of the things I can, give him a lot of credit for is that this man is the embodiment of Well, except to the fact that he started with a lot of money, because the perfect American success story is the man that starts with little money. But the thing is, he overcame so many times before the presidency and all of it. Then he overcame so many times the difficulties of life. You know, like I said, he went bankrupt 3 times.
Yep.
He was at one time. He said, "Well, there was a story where." I think he said to a homeless man, "You're richer than me because, you know, maybe you have $40 to your name, but I owe 300 million." You know, so he was in the hole, like hundreds of millions of dollars, and he came back from that situation, and with the help of a writer, you know, he came up with this book that this is also debatable, you know, he wrote it or not, but that was part of The Art of the Deal, and The Art of the Deal, or there was also one that's The Art of the Comeback. You know?
Okay.
I think so, yeah. So he actually came back from a lot of bad situations. And that's something that people admire in America. You know, when you go down and you get back up, and this is the story of every entrepreneur. You know, look at Elon Musk. How many billion-dollar rockets have blown up in the sky until, you know, until you get a success, you know? Yeah. Like, there's an old saying that says, the one who never experimented failure never experimented success. You know, failure is part of success. And I have to say that over the last 6 months or a year, I mean, since he has not been president, this man has been facing and I think this has contributed as well to his reelection. So much adversity with all these different lawsuits, which, you know, are some maybe more legit than others. Some may be more supported and encouraged by the, you know, deep state and lefty movements to really make, because a lot of people have committed much bigger crimes and do not get that much publicity. But nevertheless, I'm not a judge of that. I'm not a lawyer, and you know, I'm not really qualified to have an opinion on that. But from an outsider standpoint, this man has gone through so much adversity that nobody would ever imagine that with all these public embarrassments and lawsuits and crazy stories involving, you know, sex scandals, one after the other. In a normal, perfect world, you would never think a man like that could be elected president of the United States again, you know. And then there has been the 2 assassination attempts, one which is a miracle, basically, where, you know, he escaped being shot in the head from about 1 centimeter, you know. I think all of that is something that people look at as a general persona, yeah. So going back to The Apprentice forged his character, you know, because when you're a president, you really are, and not only him, you know, there is the making of a president, you know, you have to have a character, you know, whether it's through charisma or power or your previous story. But you have to, it's a story, you know. A man with no character, a man with no persona cannot be appealing to hundreds of millions of people. So The Apprentice forged the whole stage where he would be sitting on his big conference room, and you would have some unknown, you know, shy entrepreneurs that would come in front of him, and he would be very, very harsh on them and very, you know, cruel at times, where, you know, you have to say the truth. You're good or you're not. You're performing or you're not. You succeed or you're not. And if you don't work hard enough and you're not good and you don't compete enough or you make the bad decision, you're out. You are fired, right?
But do you think that he is playing that character, or at that time was he playing his character?
I think that I think
really
he was playing it, but he got into the skin of his character. And you know, a lot of times in life, when you're the best actors and the best performers, you know, you play a character until that character becomes your second nature.
Yeah, okay. So, because he also played in show wrestling and. Well, he's an eccentric man. He is definitely a showman, you know. But I think that The Apprentice created that persona. I think the man he was before The Apprentice and the man he was after The Apprentice, the man after The Apprentice really molded, put it that way, and
his
he adapted
public.
It.
The persona, how he was perceived by the public. And as it went on and on, you know, it's all about projecting power, you know, power, authority, decision making, being able to make quick decisions of yes and no, you're hired, you're fired, contributed to that image. And that image is what people look into. And, people want to have a powerful president because the strength of a country comes through its power representation. If you have a weak president, no one will respect you up there. And it will, you will project the image, if you're a weak president, you have a weak country. So you want to be represented by a person with strength, Now, there's different forms of strength. He's very imposing as well from a physical standpoint.
Let me make a little comparison, because you're from France originally. You're born there, you're raised, you travel all over the world. But in France, you also have a tradition of strong presidents. Also with all the way up to having multiple affairs with women, etc., etc. And the same thing is also surrounding Donald Trump, a strong president. Is there a comparison with the French tradition of strong
Well,
men
I would
in
definitely
power?
say that Donald Trump was a lot more scandalous than any of the French presidents, okay?
Yeah.
Many French presidents have had their, scandalous stories, but they were always very underground, very,
Secret.
not secret, absolutely. And a lot of times, everything that
Half
has
secret, half public.
not really. It's become public after they died, people found out a lot of things about Jacques Chirac after he died, about Mitterrand after he died, about Giscard d'Estaing after he died. A lot of times it's afterwards that people find out about the story. So it's never been really, to my knowledge, a public scandal while you are governing a country. There is only one person, and to my knowledge, my understanding, and my experience in life, there's only one person that could go through so much scandal during his presidency and being able to be reelected again, and people putting the blind eye on it. People just saying, yeah, all this is probably created by the left wings, and it's probably, and this man has suffered so much from it that it got through such an extent that I think people started feeling sorry for him. People started feeling like, this man is being attacked left and right and top and right. But at the end of it all, let's see, there was a good economy. We're not paying a lot of taxes. And there was no war, more importantly, There was no search of creating a war. So, when you talk so much bad about somebody, the first reaction is, oh, this guy's horrible. This guy's really bad. This guy's like, it's a little bit, I'm sorry, it's making an analogy, but, similar and different about Putin. There is so much negative media information about Putin. Putin is a killer. Putin is a monster. Putin wants to expand a Russian empire. Putin wants to kill people. Okay, it's so much repetition about it, okay? It's not to take the defense of Putin, but people then look again about, well, what does he really want to do? What does he really intend for the Russian people? And there's a lot of things that are debatable. And again, I'm not a lawyer or a jurist or something to, a lot of things have been assumed but never proven, So we have accused him of a whole bunch of things, from the... there may be some strange coincidence, from the plane of Perogin that fell off the sky because he was a rival to him, to a lot of people that have disputed him for power. So, but I think that press has tendency to always exaggerate and amplify and convince the masses that somebody is, for example, a monster, while they're to reach this level of power in a country, I don't believe there's a lot of angels. And I think that you can look into many, many, many countries of the world and you will find out that, and this is not in the modern times and the old times and the old conquerors and the old kings and the people that have been ruling the world for thousands of years, going back to the Roman Empire, have done extraordinary things while being doing some extraordinarily horrible things, murderers, and it's not an excuse, but it's not that like Putin and Trump are the only two horrible people in this world. There's a lot of horrible things that have been done behind the scenes for thousands of years. So our leaders are not like angels, right?
When it comes to war, I would be interested how the military-industrial complex would react on the presidency of Trump. He suggested that the budget for the military should be raised from 3.5% to, or for the NATO, from 3.5% to 5%. So he is already giving the military-industrial complex the idea that they will benefit also. Maybe, but how the whole idea of Trump being against wars or starting a new war should be in disadvantage of the military-industrial complex. How's
well, this is called peace through power, powers through strength.
Okay.
So I think this ideology, which was made popular by Ronald Reagan, was you need to have a strong, powerful military and a strong military to have a dissuasive force. Okay. It's like the nuclear force, mm-hmm. right? So be strong but never use it. Yeah. So when you have and project power, you dissuade your opponents from wanting to attack you because you represent, you're the strong big guy that could potentially, but it should always remain potentially, If you are weak, and this is what happened to Europe, this is why Europe right now is in such a very weak position, because we believed about 20 years ago that there will be no more wars in the world, that democracy will export itself all around the world, that every human being is meant to love each other, that all the Catholics and the Muslims and the Jews and the Protestants and the far extreme Orientals can all get along and we can all eat at the same table and we can all like the same things. Well, we are now finding out that that was a very wrong thinking, that governments and countries, the hegemony of countries and powers remain strong when they are powerful, because they prevent others from wanting to, we live in a world of, competition, and they compete, So Europe, and I grew up that way. I myself, 25 years ago, would it be beautiful if everybody could get along and there is no more wars and, let's be friends and we're all humans and, we all help each other.
Flower power.
Flower power, it's a beautiful world. We don't, people used to kill, there used to be wars. I used to think that way. I used to think 20 years ago that they would, wars are something of the past. Wars is something for barbarians. War is something for uneducated. But now that people, and even not that long ago, there was a moment of optimism, and I still believe that during what was called the Arab Spring, where all these dictators were, starting with Gaddafi or, then Saddam Hussein and so on, were going away. We were talking about the last dictators, where we're saying the world is getting rid of the last dictators. Yeah. Democracy is going to be everywhere around the world. But I think that specifically after all the wars that have occurred in the Middle East, in Iraq, in Korea, you realize that some groups of human beings do not believe in democracy. They don't believe in that ideology that everybody should be free to express any kind of it's okay to be transgender and promote it. It's okay to be transgender. It's okay to be gay. It's okay. Everybody should be allowed to be who they are. That's my belief. But I think that sometimes the society doesn't want to make the minorities become the majorities. And whenever you see that these relatively minor groups of society try to take over and make the society completely dysfunctional by putting it ahead and making a spectacle of it. It's basically also a form of decadence, and it's making, so some
It's
of
weakening the country.
Yeah, and some other countries are looking at it as this is becoming something that is not raising the good morals and value of our identity, and so. It's good for some people. It's Europe, has embraced that. So has America, and I think that as long as it works for a defined society and the society can thrive, and I always think that it's. If you can inspire other people by doing your own thing and being successful at it, and let other people look at what you do and choose if they want to be like you, is very different from exporting and deciding we have the best system and we are going to make you be like us because you're uncivilized, you're retards, and we have the best way. Now because people become defensive, and this is the biggest problem we have right now, I think, in the world, that we're trying to convince too many people to be like the Western world, the Occident, Let the Occident be the Occident. We should not change who we are, and we should thrive on our own. We should thrive with our own talents and powers and economy. And, there is enough information that's circulating around the world with social media and news and fake news and real news and, private news, that people can look and see and observe. And if they want to, adapt and appreciate what you do, it's a lot more inviting when you're showing somebody making somebody look at, let others decide what they want to do from themselves. Don't tell them what to do. That's basically the bottom of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Cyril. Meanwhile, I sit with empty hands for a couple of minutes right now because I enjoyed the cigar so much with the trilogy, the Perforador way of
smoking
cutting.
Well evenly all the way through the end.
So it is so nice, and I enjoyed it so much, Cyril. So I already finished my ritual, in your words, so to speak, from the cigar, and you have you spoke so much and told so many beautiful stories and anecdotes that you were halfway the cigar while I ended it.
Yeah.
And I realized that we didn't spoke about the biggest thing on the table here.
Our humidors,
Yes.
right. Well, let me give you a quick description of what my humidors are and why they're different.
It's such a monumental thing standing here in front of us.
I want to say, a humidor is meant to keep the cigars in a humidified environment. And I don't want to expand too much about the, there's a lot of humidors which are made of varnished wood and lacquered wood, and some of them, like Macaroni, that are exceptionally beautiful, or other brands, or French Christian. Some humidors are exquisite.
Meanwhile, I used a nice cigar stand of Christian.
Macaroni,
I always do. I like it, and it's
from the outside, we are different from a lot of humidors. We have a wide variety of leather humidors, or leather combined with wood. We also have our most popular humidor, which is the Hacienda, which is made with reclaimed black walnut wood. It's a humidor that has wood that is anywhere between 80 and 100-year-old. It's reclaimed wood from old hardwood floors that come most of the time from old government buildings.
Wow.
And back in
America?
In America, the hardwood floors were made of walnut.
Whoa.
And the hardwood floors used to be like 3-4 centimeters thick. Well, now it's usually made of very thin layers of melamine. So we use all that wood to create a humidor that has a lot of character and has all these different figures and natural cracks in it, which has this rustic appearance, which is very, very different from most of the humidors you see on the market. The one you're looking here is made with a full grain leather. That means a full grain leather is a leather that has not been corrected. That means you can see the natural wrinkles that are called the fat wrinkles of the leather. It's what really gives leather its character. It's an aniline finish, which means it has oils in it, and with time it develops a patina, which is the difference of shades that you get into a leather when you hold it and hand it with your hands. This one in particularly is a combination of an olive color leather with olive wood on top. Now, this is from the visual description, but what is more unique is the construction of our humidors. And let me explain what is the difference, and I'm going to open this one in a few seconds here, but typically all the humidors that are in existence in the market have humidity. Humidity is coming in from a sponge that is encased in a metal frame. There was afterwards a gel beads, which are little jelly beads that retain moisture in it. But the humidity was always placed on the top and drops from the top to the bottom. And when you have a humidor that is full of cigars, you have to periodically rotate the cigars in order for them to get even humidity. About 20 years now, and there is a new humidification system that came up in the United States called the Boveda system. And the Boveda system is an extremely clean and accurate system that regulates the temperature, the level of humidity where exactly you want to be. So they're little packs, paper packs that have gel inside. They're packs that are at 84% humidity, which you put in the humidor when you start the humidor to humidify all the cedar. And then you have choices of 72% or 69%. Some people like their cigar at 69%, which is a little drier and has a faster combustion, a hotter smoke. And some people like a 72%, which is my personal choice, because the cigar is more humidified and you have a slower combustion, and the aromas are a little wetter and less dry in your mouth, in your palate, okay? Now let's look at this. It is called, as all our humidor, an airflow humidor. What is an airflow humidor? An airflow humidor is a humidor which is designed to have moisture and air circulating all the way around your cigars. So is it okay to open this and show this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
All our humidors come with a Boveda starter kit. The Boveda starter kit, we'll open it here now. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. The Boveda starter kit come with the 84% packages, which are used for seasoning the humidor and making the cedar absorb all the humidity.
Yeah, because that's the big secret, right?
Yes, that's right.
The wood of the humidor has to
be seasoned. In other words, cedar, the reason why people use cedar around cigars, there's a few reasons, but one of them is the aromas of the cedar that actually kill the bugs on cigars. So if you have larvae on cigars, the resin that you have in cedar will kill the larvae, which will kill bugs. Okay. The other reason for using cedar is because it is a wood that has the ability to retain moisture in its grain. There is no other wood that will retain moisture as much as Spanish cedar. So once you season it, which means you saturate the cedar with humidity, that humidity will remain into the grain of the humidor. So what you do here is you will use, here, 4 packs of these. You have a holder here that's magnetic,
okay,
yeah, which has the exact depth of the Boveda pack. So I'm going to keep it in the plastic here. You put 2 Boveda packs here, one here, okay, and then under the lid here, it's a very strong magnet. You're going to keep 2 Boveda packs. Now, at the bottom of the humidor, and I'm going to take this one here out of here, so your audience can actually see the construction. Okay, you actually have a construction, I'm going to put it this way, where you have a tray underneath, and the tray, the purpose of this tray is so that you can also put Boveda packs
under
the cigars, right here. So you actually have to put 2 Boveda packs on top, 2 Boveda packs under the cigars. Now, You can also see here in the construction that you have latches. You see here that go all the way around.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot more difficult to make a box with latches than with a flat wall. But the reasons for these latches is because when a humidor is full of cigars and you have flat walls all the way around, all the cigars that are at the lower layers are actually not breathing. They don't get enough air circulation, and that's how mold can grow on cigars. Okay. So by having the cigars resting on a tray which is made of latches, and you have latches all the way around the construction of the humidor, it actually allows air to circulate under the cigars. So as I was explaining at the beginning, in a traditional humidor, no matter which brand, the low end, the medium end, the high brand, the very cheap humidors up to the Ailey Bleu, you have to periodically rotate the cigars to allow the lower cigars not to grow mold and to allow even humidification. With all our humidors, called the airflow humidors, you never need to do that because all the cigars on top level and at the bottom level will always get the same level of humidity and air circulation. So it is probably the most efficient humidor in the market to preserve all your cigars equally humidified at all times.
Wow, yeah. So apart from the beauty of your products, we can discuss the technical specifications and the details and the uniqueness of all of your lighters, cutters, humidors, whatever you make. Yeah, it's incredible. They're unique.
They are unique, again, the aesthetics, the appearance is the first thing you see, and it's important. But if you have a beautiful appearance with a mediocre efficiency, it's worth nothing, you know. They are, so the design, a bad closure, I mean, you can see here when you drop the lid of this humidor, you hear
vacuum.
The vacuum, the whoosh that you get. And we also use more Spanish cedar inside of a humidor than any other brand out there. You can see the lip that goes around here is all solid cedar. The latches are made with all solid cedar. The thickness of all the walls are made all of Spanish cedar. So they are heavy, that's the thing. They're not very lightweight, but they're also, because the cedar is so thick, they have the strongest rigidal structure, you know, structural rigidity. And so to ensure that over time there's no movement or warpage, okay, of the humidor. Yes. And then, of course, everything, including the hygrometer, is all magnetic. This is a hydraulic, digital hygrometer, which is adjustable. And, you know, I mean, it comes adjusted by default, but it will read you the temperature and the humidity content, so both. Yeah. And yes, once you have the Boveda packs, with a normal usage, you will have approximately about 3 months of proper humidity. The way you know that the Boveda is not good anymore is the package dries. Yeah. So no need to drip water, because water can drip on your cigars and, you know, wet your cigars and damage the cigars. All our humidors come with a complimentary Boveda pack, starting pack, which is including in the box. So when you buy a Brizard Co humidor, you actually buy it with included about 6 months worth of humidity. You don't have to worry for 6 months, and after 6 months, you can order it online. You can get it from most of the tobacconists. It's really easy to. Boveda is distributed worldwide, and it's definitely.
And still, you are the only humidor builder, constructor in the world that is so specifically building humidors for the Boveda packing system.
So over the last several years, I will say there is a few brands that have created encapsulations, ways to place the Boveda pack. Yeah. But as far as pushing it to the point where you're putting it under the cigar, on top of the cigar, and having it where the whole entire humidor is designed for a 360-degree humidification, we say our humidors are powered by Boveda and are designed for 360-degree humidification. We are the only company that has pushed the design to that extent for the best use of the Boveda system. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Cyril. It's wonderful.
Thank you
for
so
your
much
beautiful
for having
expose.
me.
Yeah. So we are close to the time that I have to bring you to your Eurostar train to Paris.
Yes.
I will, but not before I thank you so wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart. You are here in the Netherlands for the first time. You said
That's
to
the
me,
first time
you've
in my
never
life.
been here
Yes,
before.
yes, I've been in many
So,
places, but that was the first
thank you
time
for
here.
being here in the Netherlands, being here in our studio and talking about all the beautiful things in the cigar world, the accessories, the cigar themselves, the ritual, and also about the near future in geopolitics, politics. We had a wonderful conversation. Thank you for that, Cyril.
Tom, you're a gentleman in disguise. You know, honestly, it's a pleasure to be with you. It's your passion for everything you do, the passion that you have for all the aspects of society that you write about in your books and in your magazine and your, all the levels of interest that you have make you be a very interesting, person. And our conversation is always going from one thing to another with you. We don't stick with one topic, and that's the great part.
We always are running out of time. That's the problem.
That's right. That's right. But thank you so much for your invitation to come here to the Netherlands and to be here in your very cozy studio where we are really feeling, which is in your home with a nice environment. So again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm sorry for forgetting the stove, and I should have put more wood in it because it's getting cold. We are a little bit chilling right now, but the fire ended halfway the conversation, and I even didn't notice. So I forgot about my duty to get us to keep us warm. But nevertheless, we made it to the end. Thank you for watching to this beautiful podcast about cigars and the world of cigars. With Cyril Brizard, entrepreneur in America, coming from France. If you're interested in the products of Cyril Brizard, you find it in our web shop, parelmoer.shop. You can find it. You can find the link beneath our video. So if you like to shop and to find out what else on collections and products Cyril Brizard produces more, because there are a lot of collections, many wood and leather combinations, many color combinations. You name it, and he make it. There is so much you make for us to enjoy the cigar, so much more. You can find it anywhere in parelmoer.shop. Thank you for watching to Blue Tiger Studio. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to come back in Dutch or English with another guest next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.